you will often hear the term parts of speech. More well-known parts of speech include nouns, pronouns, verbs, and adjectives. At the basic level, nouns include people, places, and things. Pronouns include words such as I, you, or she. Verbs are typically referred to as action words such as jump, grow, or feel. And adjectives include descriptive words such as blue or sharp. Lesser-known parts of speech include adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, determiners, and articles. Adverbs, which at the basic level describe verbs. Prepositions, which are often found using words such as after, on, or in. Conjunction, which are connecting words such as and, if, or but. Determiners are usually placed in front of a noun, including a, an, every, or this. And then articles, which are words used to modify nouns, such as the. The lesser-known parts of speech can get quite confusing, even for many native English speakers. Reading the appendix, a Parts of Speech Primer, will help you with understanding these grammar terms. It's really important that you look at this. If you didn't find the parts of speech confusing, you will be fine with verb tense. There are 12 different verb tenses in 3 areas: the past, present, and future. Each of these 3 areas has 4 tenses. Use the colors on the slide here to see the connections. There is a simple tense, a progressive or continuous tense, a perfect tense, and a perfect progressive continuous tense for each of past, present, and future. With the verb tenses in mind, let's have a look at 3 significant components and then at each of the verb tenses. We will look at form. What does it look like? We will look at meaning. What is the aspect of the verb and what time is it portraying? And finally, we will look at use, the keywords, context, frequency of use, and functions. On the following slides, you're going to see a chart that provides examples of verb tenses. The verb form is identified, as well as an example of the verb tense in a sentence, and finally, an explanation of the meaning or use of the verb tense. Let's have a look. This slide depicts present verb tenses. All 4 tenses can be seen down the left-hand side of the chart. The middle column provides an example of the verb tense in a sentence, and the column on the far right describes the meaning or use. We are focused on examples happening in the present. The present simple tense example is, he falls a lot. It is referencing regular habits but can sometimes occur in the future. The key phrase here is falls. The present continuous tense example, she is falling for him, is referencing something in process. The key word here is. The present perfect tense example of, we have written letters every day since we got back, is referencing something that happens over a length of time, the past, up until now. The key word here is since. The present perfect continuous tense example of, we have been writing letters back and forth for 3 years, is referencing a continuous process for a length of time from the past to present. The key word here is for. We will continue to use the same examples as we look at the past verb tenses, so you can clearly see the differences. We are now focusing on using verbs when describing something that happened in the past. The simple past tense example is, he fell yesterday. It is referencing action completed in the past. The past continuous tense example, she was falling all over him last week, is referencing a continuous event in the past, with the key phrase being was falling. The past perfect tense example of, we had fallen for each other before we met face to face, is referencing something that happened before another event in the past. The key phrase is had fallen. And finally, the past perfect continuous tense example of we had been writing letters back and forth for 3 years is referencing a continuous process for a length of time in the past and happened before something else in the past. The key word here is had. Now we will look at our final example depicting future tense verbs. We will be using new examples though, not the previous examples. In many cases here, we're focusing on verbs that are describing something that will happen in the future. The simple future tense example is he is going to fall, which is referencing a prediction, plan, or promise in the future. The key phrase is going to. The future continuous tense example, we will be having lunch at this time tomorrow, is referencing a continuous action in the future. The key phrase being will be having. The future perfect tense example of she will have fallen down the stairs by the time I get there is referencing a sequence of events in the future. The key phrase here is will have fallen. And finally, the future perfect continuous tense example of we will